Hey guys, today I'm filming my filopastry. Although filopastry is available in the supermarkets, I think homemade is better. I make 10-20 large sheets at a time because it's really manageable to make this dough and it's also not difficult to store it. Let's get started. As usual, I will leave the exact amount of ingredients in the description box below. For this recipe, we need a dough slightly tighter than medium. In a big bowl, I combine flour, I'm using all-purpose, salt, vinegar, I'm using apple vinegar, and some olive oil. The water we are using for this recipe is lukewarm. As usual, I add the water gradually in order to be able to control the density of my dough. As you may know, flour behaves differently each time. This, of course, depends on how it was stored. It is very pleasant to work with this dough from the very beginning. It's smooth and elastic thanks to its oil, nice and warm thanks to warm water, and vinegar makes our final products crispy. Use some flour if your dough is too sticky. Knead till smooth and elastic. I work with my dough out with my wrist, the end of my palm I mean, and I use stretching movements to check the structure. The dough is very pleasant to work with from the beginning. As I had mentioned earlier, it doesn't stick to your hands, it doesn't stick to the working surface, and it's very cooperative. It basically takes something like 4 or 5 minutes to completely knead it. You know your dough is ready when it's totally elastic and very smooth like this. Now it's ready to be put to rest. The dough is going to rest minimum an hour. The good news here is you can even store it overnight and work with the dough the next day. Actually, it's even easier to work with this dough the next day. My dough has been resting for a little more than an hour and it's now ready to work with. I'm going to cut my dough into 8 equal parts. They are going to be about 50 grams or so. This is the size I'm most comfortable working with. You ensure that you have the same size because we're going to be rolling 2 at a time. Well, I measure everything by eye. Again, this comes with time and experience. But if you need a scale, go ahead and use it. We need to make tight balls. It doesn't matter how you make the balls, as long as you make them tight, that will do. I'm here showing the way how I do it. The balls are ready, set them aside, and to prevent from drying, cover them with the kitchen plastic. Okay guys, we're about to start rolling the dough. In the next few minutes, I'll be spilling out some tips on how to get that evenly smooth pastry sheets. I always use a cornstarch to dust my dough. I've heard others use ordinary flour. That's not a big deal if you are going to use the pastry right away. But if you are going to store it, like me, then I recommend you use cornstarch. I noticed with starch, filo sheets turn out velvety smooth. I tried dusting it with the flour as well, but then my pastries were not as thin the next day. It felt as though the flour made an additional layer. Number 1 absolute tip to get that perfectly round and even pastry is working with edges only. I cannot stress this out enough. As shown on the video, we don't touch the center, we only work with sides or the edges, whichever is correct. Number 2, don't use force. I'd call rolling pastry rather an intuitive work which comes with time and experience. With time, you develop a sense where to stress and where to relax. Remember, nobody is a born pasta master. Everyone gets it by time. If you get wrinkles on your pastry here and there, that's not a big deal. That's not something to worry about. And also you are going to be dusting the pastry only when necessary. When you reach this thickness or thinness, whichever is correct, you may be tempted to deem the sheet is ready. Well, for an ordinary pastry, that's a good result, but we are making filopastry, remember? Few more rounds and we're ready. I had deliberately kept my nail polish just to show you what a thin pastry looks like, but it didn't work out well, so I have another idea. This is my cornstarch box. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what our filo pastry looks like. What do you say to that? I transfer the sheet on a parchment paper, cover it with another parchment paper and kitchen plastic to prevent it from drying while I work with the rest of the dough. I will now show you, fast-forwarded, how to roll 2 sheets at a time. While watching this video, I'd like to give you a small teaser that in the end of this video I will give you a simple oven-baked spinach and cheese burek recipe. If you also end up with few holes here and there, that's not something to worry about. Our sheets are ready. Stack all on top of each other. I have stored up to 20 sheets with no problem. Flip it over each other as shown on the video, put it in a plastic bag and keep it refrigerator for up to a week. Well, certainly this is my experience. I never freeze it because, well, it just simply doesn't last that long. We love filo pastry recipes. And now, promised oven-baked spinach and cheese burek. On a baking tray, lay a filo sheet pastry. Apply butter generously. This pastry loves butter. Then on top comes the next layer. Butter it, flip the sides into the center and then add the filling. I have here some cottage cheese and spinach. I'm using frozen spinach today. Then comes another layer. Butter, and I have sauteed onion, which I'm going to add on a layer here. Sauteed onion gives it a nice special taste. Then the last layer, butter, and finally flip the sides of the first layer in. In this way you are kind of sealing the burek. Sprinkle it with some sesame seeds and bake the burek 30 minutes at preheated to 180 degrees Celsius oven. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what our burek looks like. Doesn't it look great? We absolutely love this recipe. It's very simple, straightforward, and it tastes absolutely gorgeous. Of course, I'm going to give it a cut now and I'll show you from everywhere, from right, left, center. You will get to see it all. So that's it from me for today, guys. I hope you liked this video as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, do give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and let me know in the comments how it went. Do subscribe to my channel for more recipes like this. This is how you support me and my work. Until then, I thank you for watching and I see you in my next videos. Stay safe.